results, we're looking at men, women, boys and girls practice key hygiene, sanitation, and water handling behaviors. That households have increased equitable access to improved sanitation facilities. And then households also have improved access to drinking, water treatment, and storage inputs. As mentioned, this is a midterm evaluation, basically trying to look at the progress of the project and be able to assess how much we have been able to achieve. So the objectives are clear, as would be for any midterm evaluation. In addition to that, we are also looking at, apart from having the quantitative component, there are qualitative components that are more focused on, exploring extent of the program, opinions, perceptions in terms of relevance, effectiveness, and aspects of coordination, and looking at what achievements or challenges we've had and suggestions in terms of how can we be able to sustain this program. In terms of methods, if you can look at your screens once again, it's a bit of a populated slide. But quickly, we had a component on quantitative household survey, a bit of literature review, some key informant interviews, the qualitative study, as well as focus group discussions, and documented case studies. So there's quite a lot of information that was gathered together to be able to come up with all the results and findings that we have for this study. When you look at the quantitative aspect, we ensured a scientific approach in ensuring that, the sampling follows a more scientific kind of process, basically. So we had 21 clusters, or what we can call villages, and then 21 households coming up from each of the village. And then the sampling process was, I would say, the three-stage approach, where there is selection of villages, then thereafter households, and then be able to conduct interviews. In terms of the sample size, if you can look again, we have about 441 expected households for each of the districts, totaling to 2,644. Sufficient enough to be able to give precise estimates in terms of many indicators to be measuring in. In terms of the response rate, we had a 98%, basically implying that we were able to meet as many expected respondents. Okay, now let's get to the results section. As expected in terms of social demographic aspect, the population we surveyed had a household size of 4.8 with a standard deviation of 0.04, basically. Very low standard deviation, which again shows a bit of aspect of high level of precision in it. If you look at each of the districts, if you look at the table that you're seeing up there, there is district level kind of results, but at the end, we have the overall results for the 6 districts that we covered on this survey. In terms of gender aspect of it, we had about 52.68% proportion, as well as 47.32 for men. Again, as you know, in Rwanda, normally looking at the Budehe category is one of the aspects of trying to figure out how things are like. And if you look at that as well, we had Budehe 1 of 11.26%, and if you can look at all the 4 Budehe categories, the 4 being the highest, but again proportional to the population. So that's something that as well can be normalized. It might not mean that we had 49.15%, but basically it's something that is based on the population that can be normalized to come up to the estimated basically numbers. Now, we looked at what are the main sources of income for most of the communities that we serve in. You look at the total column, basically, sale of agriculture comes up at 49.6% and day labor at 31.4%. But if you look at the 2 districts, Kichukiro and Nyarugenge, for example, they don't depend on agricultural produce, but more on day labor. As you can see, 49.4% and 50.3% in Nyarugenge. So there is a difference between the 2 districts and the other 4 districts. being urban and the others being a bit of rural. So again, as we go into the results as well, you may be able to see that differences between those 2 districts and the other 4 districts. Right, coming to household food access and production. Well, one of the questions we were looking at is, have you had a day in the last 7 days when you lacked food or money to buy food? And actually about 50.63% of the population mentioned yes, that they had that situation. But you can see, again, if you look at the rural districts, Kayonza, for example, had 72%, Nyabihu 77%, which is actually the highest. And I think you may have been listening to the panel earlier, Nyabihu being unique in terms of a number of indicators and here and there. Looking at the main source of food for the household consumption, bigger percent again is buying from the market. So you can look at the 2 things, where the access as well as the income, but again it varies. Now when you come to each independent district, you see the differences that occur there as well. For example, if you look at Kichukiro, 92.29% is basically buying from the market, and only a small rural kind of Kichukiro part that was 1.6% being able to harvest. The same is the case for Nyarugenge, but if you look at all the rural districts, harvesting is a bit high. Now, let's come to this question of whether the household has a kitchen garden. And again, here you can see that we have a total was 43.47%. And the highest basically was in Nyabihu at 64.14% in terms of owning a kitchen garden. Again, for the kitchen garden, most of the crop, basically, or kind of what is grown in these kitchen gardens, you can see green vegetables being the highest at 74.98%. I hope you're still writing down and going with me together. All right, so when you look at, again, I think I've already mentioned this. This is in terms of comparing it against our baseline, because this is a midterm evaluation. And if you look at it, we had a 43% from 31% in the baseline. Again, it's a significant change, basically, and in that case, an increase for sure. Looking at the coping strategy index, when they had lack of food or what, and how they cope with situations, basically. Looking at all relying on less preferred food or borrowing or limiting portions and reducing number of meals eaten in a day. Again, this is coming out as kind of practiced. But the one that was coming out very clear that it's not practiced is restriction of consumption by adults. Basically mean everyone, whatever is there is eaten together, and there is no like for children as well as for adults. And that's why you can see the purple 80.7% bar being a bit high as compared to all the other bars. The other bars have a bit of evenness in terms of the occurrence of this practice. Percentage distribution of household by coping strategy index. Again, you can see what we call the low coping strategy index, medium as well as the high. Again, if you look at the high CSI score, this comes out very strongly in Nyabihu at 40.4% and a bit very low in Ngoma at 19.6%. Again, you can see as well this are for the other districts. We also tried to look at the women dietary diversity, and this one we were trying to look at the food groups mostly consumed by the households, I mean by women basically. And something peculiar is the fact that there is very low consumption of animal source products. If you can look at milk and other dairy products as well as meat, fish and eggs, they are the lowest, and you can see the first two bars, 23.2% and 25.8%. But of course, as expected, the cereals, tubers, pulses are a bit high. And so that's why, again, there is that push basically to be able to enhance consumption of animal source products. This is in comparison to the baseline. Again, you can see there is a very significant change as well in this. For those with less than four groups consumed, reduction from 75 to 3.9%. But for those with more than four groups consumed, an increase from 24.5% to 66.1%. Mean dietary diversity for women as well. Again, you can see out of the 9 food groups, actually Kichukuru having a 5.5 and Nyarugenge having a 4.9, meaning the urban districts have more dietary diversity for women compared to the rural districts. Right, looking at consumption of iron-rich beans as well as orange flesh potatoes, which we are kind of promoting as well. Again, a good percent of the population. Okay, I kind of getting out of time here, but I'll try to rush as bit as possible. Again, at 18.5% for iron-rich beans, as well as 23.9% and 18.5% for OFSB. Food consumption score at acceptable level, you can see change from 22.0% to 45.4%, which is a significant change. Looking at the knowledge on infant and young child feeding practices, percentage of mothers who have knowledge on complementary feeding for 6 months, again you can see change from 80.3% to 85.4%. That is significant enough. Proportion of mothers who know that breast milk alone is enough for babies during the first 6 months of life. Again, you can see at all the reasons that are given there as well, which are going well with what we are training as well. And looking at the infant and young child feeding practices, again, early incision breastfeeding, this is performing well nationally as well. We have about 92.3% from 92.8%, but with no significant change in this. Breastfeeding as well, 91% from 86%. When you look at the very key indicator on children aged 6 to 23 months, and looking at the dietary diversity aspect, minimum meal frequency, as well as the minimum acceptable diet, which is a composite for the 2 indicators, we have a 22.7%, if you can see the total bar. But as well, this is a bit low in some districts. For example, if you look at Nyarugenge and Nyabihu, again, it's funny that Nyarugenge comes a bit down here in terms of minimum acceptable diet, being able to perform well in dietary diversity, if you can look at that figure bar. That basically also implies aspects of, how do the two go, dietary diversity as well as the meal frequency. The two are supposed to be going a bit high. And again, if you look at Nyarugenge, the meal frequency has gone down as compared to the dietary diversity. In WASH, I think this is more of program aspect of it, so probably because of my time, I will go through quickly enough. Participation in CHC, what we call community hygiene health clubs, at 59%. Looking at location of hand washing facility by district, again, the total was coming around 21%, and there is a huge change between the baseline as well as the midterm evaluation from 16% to 21% in terms of households with soap and water at hand washing stations. I'm trying to go a little bit more faster because we have 2 more minutes remaining for me. Looking at access to basic sanitation facilities from 69.5% to 80.7%. That's as well a very significant change that's occurred. Same for access to clean water, from 84 to 89%. And then there is a bit of a reduction as well, but they're not significant for proper treatment of drinking water from 56% to 54.9%. And in terms of storage of drinking water, from an increase from 59% to 67.7%. Right, looking at the aspect of mobility and health services utilization, prevalence of diarrhea from 22% to 17.0%, which is also a very significant change in reduction of diarrheal cases. In terms of treatment, again, as expected, 66.91%, although this should be a bit high in terms of treatment on what is done when the child has diarrhea. Of course, we have a bit of 16.54% who did nothing in terms of treatment. And then visit to ANC, antenatal care practices. If you look at it as well, 44.1% in the baseline and 56.6% in the midterm evaluation, which is also a significant change basically in terms of this indicator. Percentage of women who attended at least 3 prenatal visits with their husbands as well being high enough at 77.0%. Timely visit to ANC service is at 64.7 from 34.4%. This is also a huge increase basically on this. So in terms of conclusions, the Kuru intervention districts have shown encouraging positive trends, I would say, in many of program indicators. Improvement in socioeconomic, food adequacy, environmental health, as well as primary health care practices. And the most significant improvements in food adequacy are in proportion of households with acceptable diet, food consumption score, food secure household basically. And as well looking at significant increase from 22% to 45%. As well in kitchen gardens, which I think all of us have been observing all these results as well from the earlier slides. Proportion of women who consume diverse diets has also increased considerably. Improvement as well in environmental health indicators, such as access to basic sanitation services and proportion of households with soap and water around washing stations. These improvements might be attributable to different Gikuro strategies aimed at improving infant and young child feeding outcomes, including making diverse food available and accessible, bringing women together in village nutrition schools, and creating field farmer learning schools, savings and internal lending communities, which are all contributing towards increasing all these indicators. In general, the program was perceived to be very relevant and important with good trends towards the achievement of its goals. So that is the end of my session for that. Thank you so much and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please. Honorable Minister, Honorable Program Coordinator NCDP, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for Mr. Colin for his informative and interesting talk. And allow me to welcome our second presenter, is Dr. Eli Kibaganizi. He is a senior technical advisor for health and provision in civil community, in global communities, USAID QRK, and is going to present to us improving malnutrition outcomes for young children identifiers with malnutrition through community and household level interventions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Eric. One announcement, presentation is about 10 minutes, and something I like to be a moderator is that power to come and cut off, but I don't wish to do this, so please welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Honorable Coordinator of NSDP. I'm going to share with you the work that is being done by your global community USAID QBK about nutrition activities. It's mainly about the community and household level intervention that we are implementing at a household to local level so that to improve the nutritional outcome of young children. Mainly how the program is meant is to identify and assist 50,000 vulnerable households to reduce economic vulnerabilities. These interventions are holistic interventions. They target families and the communities to provide the healthy, nurturing and engaging environment for vulnerable young children. And also we try to decrease economic vulnerability of households through many interventions, including saving groups. We are also targeting adolescents to transition to safety adulthood, and also trying to help communities to raise their children in a protective way. If you go to the nutrition activities, we are implementing nutrition activities in 3 districts. These are Musanze, Wera, and Gasabo, in 27 sectors of those districts. We follow the national guidelines of community-based nutrition program, which is done by community health workers. And what we do is we are not duplicating or bringing in a new strategy. Rather, we are strengthening and working with existing government structures. These are community health workers and health centers. The approach, how we are doing it, first we do growth monitoring. That's the aim of all the programs in nutrition in Rwanda, to make sure that we are weighing all the children under 5 using the balance and the mark. Then we record the information on their cards and we inform the parents on what is the nutritional status of the children. This means that if a child is found to be in what at the community level they call it is green, yellow, and red. That's what they know at the community level. So we make sure that after each measurement we inform and we educate the parents about the nutritional status of the children. Another thing that we are doing is cooking demonstration, at the general cooking demonstration at that side of growth monitoring. What we do is that we tell parents to bring food so that whenever they bring the children for growth monitoring, there is a session on teaching the parents to prepare a well-balanced diet for the children, and the children eat that diet, the food prepared there on that day. After that, there are some children that are identified with malnutrition. These children, some of them have severe acute malnutrition, and these ones are referred to health centers for better management, and the place maybe they might be having other health issues that are leading to that acute malnutrition, severe acute malnutrition. And the other ones that are identified with moderate acute malnutrition are referred to what we call positive deviance in the health. We'll talk about it later soon. Another activity that we are doing is we have started to provide small livestock to increase the animal protein consumption. As you have seen in the previous presentation, it is still low. Animal protein consumption is still low. So that's why we introduced these interventions in our program. What we do also is that we make sure that the community health workers and health center staff that we are working with have received adequate training. They are knowledgeable about nutrition activities. Something that we have realized is that there is a high turnover of staff. So if you don't keep up with the training, you end up having people who are not well trained on what they are doing. Also have provided some materials to the community, including the books, balance, and the other things that we are doing at the community. We'll see that soon. We also are doing regular monitoring and the coaching. The coaching is the best thing that we can do for the community workers, because sometimes they are on their own. They don't know what they are doing. Even if they have received training, some trainings are delayed to get the refresher training. So that's why we are keeping on doing the coaching. On the achievement, we are now supporting more than 1,000 sites with GMP activities. We have now around 3,700 community workers supporting the activities in the district we are in. We have also other community-based volunteers to support us, because we are in doing a PDH, positive deviance and health. It requires more regular support to the household. That's why we have some other CBVs that are existing in the community. We take those that are existing in the community, such as those from RRP, Rwanda Network of People Living with HIV. They are already doing some health activities. So we take them and we increase their knowledge so that they can support in nutrition activities. So far, we have now reached around more than 88,000 children below 5 in last year, and we have provided materials for cooking demonstration and for wash kit to 1,557 sites in GMP. The sites below are different from the site above, because when we start our activities, we were covering all the 3 districts, but later on we realized that there are other implementing partners that are in the district, and then we divided the sites among ourselves so that we are not duplicating efforts. In last year, FY18, we have seen 223 children with acute malnutrition. Those ones were referred to health facilities, and around 1,500 were with MAM, and they were referred to PDH group. I will talk about them later. Also, in our activities, we are reaching pregnant and pregnant mothers. More than 10,000 pregnant mothers and around 40,000 lactating mothers came to our site in FY18 for the GMP and education and nutrition. For the PDH approach, it's a kind of cyclical thing, but we are targeting mainly the children with moderate acute malnutrition. And what we do is that we identify what we call positive deviant mothers or families. These families, they're in the same category, the same social status with other parents with malnourished children. And these ones, they help as teachers of those with malnourished children. So it's a kind of local. It's done locally. They are the one to identify the positive deviant mothers, and then positive deviant mothers become the teachers. And also what we do is that we identify the food that are available and the behavior that are available in the community, so that we can build on those two things to help those other families with malnourished children to take the children from malnutrition. Another thing is that it's a community-based. It's not really a program or any job-based, but it's a community-based and home-based program. And it's voluntarism. The mothers bring the children on their own. It's also, the duration is 14 days for intensive feeding, followed by 14 days for home visits by the community health workers and volunteers to see if the children are moving from malnutrition to well-nourished status. So far, we have formed in 2018 around 500 pediatric groups. We have enrolled more than 1,700 children, and 97 of them recovered from MAM. Only 3% have not recovered from PDH. These children, they have other health issues that make them to not absorb food in their intestine. That's why most of them are there. Another thing that we have not recorded here is that some of the children with severe acute malnutrition, when we refer them to the health centers, when they come back, the parents take them to PDH as well, even though they are still in red, but they need food as well. So the parents, they bring them as well. It's kind of like they are running from their peers with mom, but they say, okay, you are cooking for other children, so let us also bring ours, even though they are also receiving other services at their facilities. This is about PDH, and another program aspect intervention is chicken provision. It's written there as a priority because we started by only 2 sectors to see if we can improve the nutrition status. This was done because the animal food consumption was low. That's why we know this one. We started this program. As you can see on the pictures, these were the families that came to receive chicken. So why we choose chicken is that the chicken are not difficult to raise at the household level. They are very easy to raise. They are not requiring many work so that they can be raised. Also, what we have seen that chicken eggs are right available protein source of protein for the kids and their family members. Also, we have also seen that the chicken, they enhance household food security and nutrition. This we will see in how they have used eggs. And also, they do not put a large financial burden to the families. If you give someone a cow or a big animal, if it becomes sick, it's hard for them to get medicine easily. And also to have food for that cow is very hard for some of the household. So that's why we have chosen chicken. So what we did is that we worked with the local authorities so that they are on board. So we identified households that will benefit from this intervention. We took those with children with malnutrition, the first one, not everyone, but we took those with children with malnutrition. Then we trained the community health workers and the CBVs on chicken rearing, the basics, so that they can be supporting those families. And we provide the chicken. What we did not provide the chicks, we provide chicken that were laying eggs, so that whenever someone receives the chicken, the next morning the children will start eating eggs, not like waiting for a longer period to eat eggs. But we made sure that we gave 3 hens that are laying eggs, which means that it was at least 3 eggs per day per household, so that they start eating eggs. Another thing that we did was continue to do follow-up. How are the chickens doing? Are they dying? Are they in good status? In good status? Are children eating chicken eggs? Or the eggs are sold to the market as it has been said? And then we come to report. The pilot started in June and July 2018, and then in January 2019. These are some of the results we have observed. The eggs that were eaten by children It's in the three sectors were like 32% and 42% in the household. And the eggs that were sold, they present, sometimes they represent 40%. And when you see how the money from the eggs was used, around 89% was to diversify the food diet at home. It's like they bought the other food items that was not at home. This means that even though we're giving eggs at the first step, but the eggs were sold, and then the families used it to buy other food items to improve the diet they were using. Another that they used for it, which is related to nutrition, is that the money was used to buy soap, which means that even hygiene was improved at household level. For the children that were malnourished, we started by, all the children started with were malnourished. But in 1 month, from May 18 to June 18, in Musanze only, 76% of the children that were now in good nutrition, among those that were in program. So this means that the eggs were having an added value to the food they were eating. And when we see in Feb 2019, 99% of the children in Musanze and 95% of children were in a good nutrition status. That means that they were eating a balanced diet. In those only that we had in the pilot phase, it's not all the children in the community, but those with malnutrition that we started with. This is what I was referring to about the 97 children that were in good status, and only 1% is still having, in Feb, was still having moderate nutrition, and 2%, which is that are 4, were having other health issues that was causing food malabsorption. So what I take home message is, we found that community-based management of MAM is possible through PDH. And the parents and the families are really happy to have that program, because it's something that they see they have something to do on the nutrition status. Some other times, like other beliefs, were saying, if my child is malnourished, there is like poisoning by the neighbors, those kind of things. But because it's a neighborhood-based program, they see that they can do something about malnutrition. Another thing that nutrition education is the key. Even though we conduct PDH, it's not just feeding children. Each time when they go to PDH, there is a nutrition education that is done on a daily basis for 14 days. So after the 14 days, they have a good package of how to feed the children. I think that's small livestock. It's added a good added value to the nutrition, to the consumption of animal food protein, especially for the eggs that we have seen. And also, what we have seen that if we integrate all the activities, we're integrating GMP, we're integrating small livestock, we're integrating PDH. If we integrate everything, and there is a synergies about all the programs that are available, we can come up with a good result. We had observed some challenges, especially for PDH. The community health workers have a lot of work to do, and sometimes it leads to poor recording keeping. They can weigh children, and then they forget to record the weight in the register, because they have many children to weigh in the same time. In urban settings, we have really a big challenge of families to not attend GMP sessions, because people are not around. As I have seen in the first presentation in Yarugenge and Kichukiro, they rely on daily labor. So if they don't go to casual working every day, they don't eat. So they prefer to casual work instead of bringing children to GMP sessions. So in some society, because of the time, because of the weather, they don't deliver nutrition messages, which we have seen that is the key in improving nutrition. Also, cooking demonstration is not done in all the sites, and sometimes parents don't have food to bring. On PDH, we have seen that there is still low knowledge of parents who are attending this intervention, because they don't know about malnutrition. And some parents do not have food to bring, as I was saying, so it's becoming hard. But what we are doing with those parents is that instead of bringing food, we tell them, you can come and prepare food. So you exchange, it's kind of exchange the labor for food. And also, in some instances, because we started this intervention as a new intervention, some parents were thinking that the program will bring in some food for them, for the kids. But if you bring food for the kids, after you have stopped to give that food, they will fall again into malnutrition. That's what we started by educating them on. On small livestock, this is a good intervention, but it is an issue of acceptability. After the pilot project, we rolled that out to all the district, all the sectors where we are intervening. But in the urban settings, we have parents, families with minority children. But when you go to give them the chicken, you see that someone is renting a house of 1 room. How will he keep those chicken? Will he be sleeping with those chicken? Then it creates wash issues. Sometimes also it's having money to buy like the medicine. That's an issue. So we said for the money for the first medicine, if we are now giving the chicken, we provide also the first basic medicine for the chicken. That we know with the consultation of the veterinary at the sector level. Thank you for your kind attention.
Let's give him another round of applause. It was an informative and interesting talk on chicken, hen, eggs. And now, Honorable Minister, Madam Coordinator NCDP, Madam ESNCC, Madam ESNWC, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Now we are moving to the session of the questions and answers. And I would request our panelists, Dr. Elik, please join the stage. Collins Aliktumu, please join the stage. Agremel Aliamar, if I'm well pronounce it. And Tana Isimbi, Isio. Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the next section, which is question and answers. We do have kind of rules to follow. We'll be having 5 questions, or 3 or 5, and one who wants to ask the question, you raise up your hand and tell us your name and tell us who you address your question to, and the panelists will be there to answer. And we are out of the time, and we use 10 to 15 minutes. So, protocol, we help us. Do you have people from protocol? Okay. Do you have a mic? Is it on? That's good. And please, back to the Honorable Minister. Nk'uko twabivugaga tugeze umwanya w'ibibazo. Mikoro ya Minister, tugeze umwanya w'ibibazo n'ibisubizo. Aba panelists bari hano imbere, turajya tubabaza ikibazo. Ubaza ikibazo arazamura ikiganza, bamuhe mikoro. Nyuma yo kumuha mikoro aratubwira izina rye ndetse n'uwabaje ikibazo, gushimangira, gushima. Twabikoze mu gitondo kugira ngo tubaze ikibazo tunabona igisubizo. Murakoze cyane.
Murakoze. Ndashaka batuje gushima, ariko ndagira mushime nihuse abamaze gukora presentation nziza n'ibyo bagezeho ku bufatanye na stakeholders benshi, barimo local government, barimo n'abaturage ubwabo n'abandi ba partners bakorera muri utu turere. Hari ikibazo nagize kuri presentation ya global communities. Nashimye ko mwitegereje neza mugashakisha ya matungo mubaha, ese barayagurisha, amagi bayaha abana cyangwa barayagurisha. Hari indi slide watweretse, indi graph watweretse yerekana barabigurisha ariko bagiye kugura ibi n'ibi. Natangajwe nuko nabonye bagurisha bagiye gusa kugura ibyo kurya, nibyo nabonye niba nibeshya. Nkibaza se ntababigurisha bagiye kwita ku mashuri y'abana, ariko cyane cyane se ntababigurisha bagiye kugura inzoga, ko tuzi ko yari reality tubana nayo. Hariya nagize ikibazo ko nta hantu nabibonye. Ikindi ntabwo nabonye akarere ka Burera muri nutrition status, niba harabaye improvement. Nabonye mwashizeho Gasabo na Musanze gusa. Ikindi nabonye kiri interesting nuko hari aho wavuze uti hari umuntu uba mu nzu y'icyumba kimwe, niyo nkoko ukibaza aho ari buyororere. Aho none ikibazo ndaza gushaka kuganira n'ushinzwe amadeni wavuze mu gitondo, namushimira ubufatanye bwiza yagiye agaragaza. Turaza gufatanya gute kugira ngo cya kibazo cyo kubyara abana benshi tutabashije kurera dukurikije izi presentations zombi zivuyeho, umuntu ufite inzu y'icyumba kimwe, ba bantu barya inshuro imwe ku munsi cyangwa ebyiri, ba bantu bagenda kugurisha igi kugira ngo bajye kugura ibindi byo kurya, ariko wakwinjira muri ya nzu ugasanga harimo abana 6, wajya kureba inkono batekamo usanga ari akantu gato, abana ntabwo bari burya ngo bahage, tutagiye no mu bya quality y'ibyo bariye. Mudufashe abanyamadini tukiganira ahangaha, turigisha gute abaturage bacu gupanga neza famiye tugiye kwinjiramo, gupanga abo tubyara. Iyi message turaza kuyitanga gute turi kumwe dufatanyije, atari ibyo kubwira abantu ngo babyare buzuzi isi. Ndagira ngo iki kintu rwose tuze kukiganira, kuko ntabwo nifuzaga ko presentation nk'izi ebyiri zitwereka reality y'imiryango yacu. Presentation zikwiye kujya no mu tundi turere, ntabwo nifuza ko iki cyatambuka tutakiganira. Ikindi cyanyuma sozerezaho, ndagira ngo ushimire cyane gikurira na global communities, ariko nabafashe nabasabe badufashe hamwe na local government ibi bintu bivemo imihigo. Niba akarere runaka karabashije kuzamuka, tuze kureba ngo ni twakoze dufatanyije, ahandi kuki bitashobotse. Birajya gushoboka ari uko duhize iki muri twa turere aho mudakorera cyangwa aho bitashobotse. Tuze kubigira imihigo rwose, twese tubijyemo, bifatanye twerekana ngo tugiye gukora ibi kugira ngo za percentage ziyongere nk'uko byagaragaye. Murakoze.
Twakwakira ikindi kibazo?
Thank you very much, Gikuriro and Global Communities, for the very good presentations with really rich information that when we are here seated, we are able to learn that over the last years implementing these programs, we are seeing some recognizable changes. So congratulations on that. My name is Silva. I work with USAID as a nutrition specialist. So when I looked at Colin's the presentation he shared with us, I was happy to see knowledge of mothers on complementary feeding going as high as 82%. I think that's good news for us to hear, because one of the challenges we are facing in this country is the quality of complementary feeding. So if the knowledge of the mothers came from around 60% to 82%, then that shows that there's something that we are able to achieve over the last 3 years. But when you look at, when you compare that with the indicator on minimum acceptable diet, which is still a bit low, 22%, slightly higher than 4 percentage points with the current national 18% at DHS. So the reason why I think this indicator is working poorly is because if you look at the 4 food groups that are minimally considered for this indicator, one of the challenges mothers are facing, and the reason why this indicator has been performing poorly is because of the low consumption of animal source foods. So if you look at that indicator, that has been the reason why it has been performing poorly. So going forward, how do we envision to improve on this indicator? I recognize that it's not only in your districts, this is a countrywide issue. Then global communities, Dr. Eriki talked about the good job you're doing on growth monitoring and promotion. I'm one of the advocates of growth monitoring and promotion, because without growth monitoring and promotion, you are not going to know the challenges you are facing in the community by looking at the nutritional status of the children. So at the moment as a country, this might be beyond you, because we are now doing weight for age measurements. And the weight for age measurement doesn't tell you the whole story. So maybe this goes to all of us here. How do we introduce length for age measurements at the community level? How do we integrate that as well to have the real information for prevention? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes?
Murakoze. Kananye ngire icyo navuga kuri izi presentation zombi nziza cyane. Kuri Gikuriro hari ahantu bavuze ko success zabo.
Your name, please, sir. Amazina.
Nitwa Mucumbitsi Alexis, abandi head of department ya nutrition na hygiene muri National ECD program. Muri success bavuze muri Gikuriro, bavuze ko nuko bashize abagwe hamwe. Nakwibaza impamvu mwashatse gushira abagore bose hamwe ariko ntimwibuka abagabo. Ese hari impamvu y'umwihariko kuri ibyo? Ikindi kuri babivuze ku byerekeye animal source food ntabwo mbisubiramo, ariko kuri global community hari pediatrics mwavuze, ariko cyane cyane ikareba abana bamaze bafite mamu cyangwa se moderate acute malnutrition. Ese nta kuntu twatangira pediatrics tutarebye abana bamaze kurwara cyangwa se bafite ikibazo cy'imirire mibi, tugatangira muri prevention dukoresha pediatrics kuko ni mode nziza, ariko ntiturebe gusa abana bamaze kugira, tugatangira hakiri kare kugira ngo batazaba no muri malnutrition. Muri conclusion zanyu za global community bavuze ko messages is not the same ahantu hose aho mukorera, tukibaza impamvu zitari messages zitari zimwe, kandi dufite MICN, maternal infant young children counseling cards zifite messages, ariko kaba mudakoresha messages zimwe. Nabyibajijeho. Ikindi ni ako ba vice mayor baza kudufasha muri utwo turere ba presence bavuze ko cooking demonstration ntago zikorwa buri gihe. Twakwibaza impamvu cooking demonstration zidakorwa. Ese hari impamvu yishi nyuma cyangwa se tutazi atuma cooking demonstration zidakorwa mu cyaro? Tubyigire hano tubiyumve ni ihe kintu kiriho kugira ngo tubikore. Murakoze.
Murakoze cyane. You allow me because of time and one person, and we'll be happy from our guest or from person from out.
Thank you. Nitwa Eri Mugabo w'Ishema, nkuko negeze kuba ko nkora muri global communities ECD twibake. Ntabwo ari kibazo, ariko ni kimwe mu byo batavuze kandi numva byiza. Nkuko Dr. Eric yabivuze, dukorera muri turere dutatu twa Musanze, Burera na Gasabo, ariko noneho ahandi turakorera mu turere tugeze ku icyenda, ko aho duhurira na Gikuriro nuko habaho ubufatanye ku buryo nka za gahunda za nutrition usanga ku Gikuriro supportinga ku ECD zifashwa na global communities. Nicyo ngiye numvaga nubwo batabivuga, ariko ni ikintu cyiza nabonye. Murakoze.
Yes, murakoze. Nyakubahwa Minisitiri, natwihanganira umwanya ntagukunze. Ndahamya ko bisi bibazo babajije, yaba global communities, yaba USAID, ya CRS. So before is yours, and we will be happy if you go straight to the point. Thank you.
Okay. Murakoze cyane. Ndagira ngo tubize mu Kinyarwanda kugira ngo tubyumvikane twese, cyane cyane kwazo Nyakubahwa Minisitiri yabajije. Twakoze pilot project yo gutanga inkoko tubanza kugira ngo turebe ko babyakira n'ukuntu bigenda, kuko inshuro nyinshi hari igihe wabwiraga abaturage ko ubahaye ikintu ugasanga nyuma zapfuye zose, abatanze inkwavu baziriye. Tureka duconcentrating imbaraga zacu ahantu ku mirenge ibiri mu turere tubiri tonyine, tufata umurenge umwe umwe, tubanza tumenye niba bari bubyemere n'ukuntu tuzigura. Ikintu cyabayemo cya mbere kuzigura biratugoye, kuko uvanye inkoko hano i Kigali ukajyana Musanze hakonja bucya yapfuye utamenyereye bwa bukonje. Twarashakaga tubanza tujye tugura, dushakisha inkoko ziri aho hafi turi kubyana akunda ko twazibona. Niyo mpamvu mwabonye Burera itarimo mu madone twatanze, nuko twe dufite uturere tubiri gusa twakoreyemo iyo pilot. Ikindi kuri food ku byabaguze mu mafaranga babonye, icyo navuze cyane nuko ari byagaragaye cyane ko ari kongera ibiryo. Abana kenshi ubusanga ari abantu twakwita barya uko bavuye guca inshuro. Niba rero yabonye amagi yo kugurisha n'ubundi kwa guca inshuro najyayo akabura hano uwo munsi arafata ya magi yagurishe aguremo ibiryo by'uwo munsi. Ariko ibindi baguze cyane byanadushimishije, abenshi bari mu cyiciro cya mbere cy'ubudehe, nicyo twaribaga, ariko biguriye mituweli hafi ya bose. Ntabwo kwa kundi bwa no mu cyiciro cya mbere leta irabaha mituweli, abenshi twahaye inkoko biguriye mituweli. Bose biguriye mituweli, abo twe twahaye ntuza muri porogaramu yacu, kuko basanga kujya kenshi kujya kuzishakisha wenda bibutinde, ariko akavuga ati nabonye amafaranga ni gute najya gutegereza kandi nshobora kwigurira mituweli. Ikindi bakoze ni uko kujyana abana kwa muganga byari mu bintu bibateye ikibazo cyane. Umwana yarwara akamujyana akabona yatike modateri yo kwivuza. Ikindi cyari kirimo ni imiti y'inkoko. Inkoko zirarwara, amatungo ararwara. Rero yarwaye atateganyije amafaranga yo kwigurira wa muti, irapfa bukeye bwaho. Bose bagendaga baguramo imiti y'inkoko. Ikindi cyabajijwe abantu bose ni kuza
twihanganire gato. Hano ba vice mayor hari ikintu wavuze, baravuga tugomba kugikosora kitaragera kure.
Murakoze cyane. Icyo nashakaga kumwunganiraho nuko abaturage bose bo mu cyiciro cya mbere gahunda za leta turabishyurira mituweli de sante. Ubwisungane mu kwivuza ntabwo bishyuriramo, ahubwo hari abari baba bari mu cyiciro cya kabiri ndetse n'icya gatatu birashoboka bitewe n'imiterere y'imibereho. Ashobora kuba yari mu cyiciro cya kabiri agahura n'ibibazo bihita bimushyira mu cyiciro cya mbere, ariko mu gihe atarashobora guhindura icyiciro cy'ubudehe, abo ngabo nibo dushyiraho gahunda zo gufashwa. Ariko abari mu cyiciro cya mbere bose turabishyurira ubwisungane mu kwivuza. Murakoze.
Ariko ndagira ngo mwunganire nubwo ntari mpari, ngira ngo icyo yashatse kuvuga arankosora. Nubwo leta yishyurira abo mu cyiciro cya mbere, byadushimisha kubona umuntu uri mu cyiciro cya mbere ushatse kugraduatinga akaba kubera bamuhaye itungo avuga ati reka nigurire mituweli.
Yes, nibyo dukorana nabo, kuko nk'uko mwabajya kwa minister dusinyana nayo imihigo. Iyo umuhaye inkoko ntabwo mwe ngo ugenda gutyo gusa, ahubwo ati byari se ngwaye inkoko ntabwo ejo bundi nityo gukora ikindi kintu, ni hajya kugera ikindi kintu kiba uzaba kiri kimwe n'umuntu utarabonye inkoko. Kandi warabonye amagi, ufite abana babiri ukabona amagi nk'atanu ku munsi, ntabwo wayarya yose, ari amagi menshi. Biba bisaba ko nawe werekana ko hari intambwe iri gutera no muri bagenzi bawe. Icyo twabonye biranabashimisha kumva ngo ngewe niguriye mituweli, leta yajyaga yima akabwira abagenzi bagendana ngo ngewe niguriye, none nshobora kwigura mituweli, ubu ngubu dore ikarita yanjye ngiyi ndayifite, nanayiguriye nta muntu wayimpaye. Nabo ubona bibashimisha muri bagenzi babo. Ikindi mwari mwabajeho ni ukujyana n'inzu ntoya.
Technical team, please.
Thank you. If I can supplement my colleague, Dr. Eric, in responding to the Honorable Minister, what Eric presented was part of a larger, broader intervention. And a key part of that intervention, beyond nutrition, is also building economic resilience. In building economic resilience, one of the core services we're providing is savings with education. So we're promoting financial literacy, we're teaching the beneficiary households how to save, and most importantly, how to invest. So we actually envision that some of these households will be able to scale up from this small intervention of receiving 4 chickens, they'll be able to scale it up into an income-generating activity. So we are seeing some improvements on that side as well. Another important part of our economic strengthening intervention is that we're promoting joint decision-making at the household level. So making sure that both caregivers are able to make the right decisions about investments in the children, in the family. I think Honorable Minister had a comment about how do we know that they're not using the money for alcohol, which is, I would say, a relatively common problem. So it's through that behavior change where we're educating them on how to make wise investments. That's not to say that it's completely not happening, but we're addressing that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Gabriel Mariam. In 1 minute.
Moment. Thank you, Honorable Minister and colleagues. I have two questions. Probably Dr. Ivan also can chip in later, but the first one is from Silver, the minimum acceptable diet. Minimum acceptable diet is a very important indicator, as many of us we are familiar with. It's a combination or intersection between two indicators, which is meal frequency and dietary diversity. So if a father or a mother doesn't say that during that survey period, the child the last 24 hours has taken age-appropriate frequency of meal as well as the different group of food, then that household cannot be cannot qualify the minimum acceptable diet. And I think it's a challenging. Maybe our behavior change communication has to do more, but there is probably more to it beyond knowledge, beyond behavior. So as we all know, dietary diversity has different underlying factors: availability, access to food, and access not only to certain food but diverse group of food. So what are the factors? Is it economic? Is it production related? So program like Gikuro, and I can speak for Gikuro, we do an integrated intervention, at least to address the underlying factors, to ensure to increase availability and also knowledge. So availability in a sense, either through production, because we have agricultural activities at household level, so that the agricultural productivity can be increased and the knowledge of producing more can be increased as well. And also economic strengthening. Like Tona said, we also do the savings group. So it's, these are small amounts saved every week by households, but if I tell you the collective impact over the last 3 years, Gikuro in 5 districts, facilitated a collection or saving of over 700 million Rwandan francs. So that is partly for nutrition, so that households can buy, and from the earlier presentation, large number of households depend on market as well. Production and market. So from market, those savings, when they do share out, they do economic strengthening themselves, income generating activities, plus they buy some food. But, again, there is a temptation. For instance, we also have other interventions like small livestock, at household level to increase the household asset, like chicken and rabbits, pigs, all those are somehow distributed, but also there is a mechanism of sharing offsprings. So in the first year we distributed all these animals, but the offsprings are distributed to other households who were not part of the initial scheme. So, but there is this dilemma, a temptation at household level, whether to consume what is produced or to sell, to take it to market. So that's some of the challenge we are trying, and that's happening through behavior change communication.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins, what is take home, like in the...
Just to summarize this. Thank you. Just to respond on one from Alexi, why only women and why we are not engaging men. And I will say basically, especially from Gikurio, as we are working in Gikurio, we've had sufficient efforts basically in terms of trying to ensure that there is this aspect of male engagement within our programs. As you know, most of the time VNS is treated as a female kind of activity. However, we've been encouraging fathers at least once a month to be able to attend a session, be it in village nutrition school, be it in a farmer field school, or as well in economic strengthening. So these are practices that we are trying to encourage in such a way that men are also aware of what the mothers as well as the kids do in VNS, and how can they be able to participate in terms of supporting the mothers. So this is something that we are going on with. Of course, the uptake might not be as high. However, it's efforts that we are building in terms of encouraging for as much more to be able to participate in these activities. So it's not only a female group kind of activity. We have of that aspect. Coming to what Silva said, yes, I think we have made progress, and thank you the fact that you are able to acknowledge this. But of course, there is more efforts that definitely needs to be done in terms of ensuring we're able to improve most of the indicators. And I think Honorable Minister mentioned something. Can we figure out contracting aspect? I think it was called performance contract aspect in terms of, appreciating efforts done by the district. And I think, yes, though we all measuring here and saying there is change, there is progress, we definitely have to appreciate the efforts and coordination that is being done by all partners and stakeholders in terms of addressing all institutional aspects. Thank you.
So I'm just taking this mic to recognize all other stakeholders who worked with us. I see a few vice mayors here, other partners, so whatever Gikuro presented, we're not taking the whole credit. It's a joint effort, and I think it's an ongoing work in progress. So I want to recognize particularly the vice mayor from Canada. We had from Chukiro and from Nyabihu also. So it's been really encouraging, and it has been energy infusing to work closely with you and under the leadership. Of course, besides the leadership at the national level with Dr. Anita and Honorable Minister, and USAID is at the heart of all this leading. So I want to give this recognition to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we come to the end of our presentation. We'd like once again to thank for all presenters and for their informative and interesting talk, and to audiences for your participation. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for everybody. My name was Tumsif, and still here in this room, and good afternoon.
Thank you very much to the panelists, and as you step down, we would like to hear from the representative of REACH from what the Honorable Minister requested. Please pass him.
Thank you.
Yes. But thank you very much to Musi panel. Over there, he's putting up his arm.
Last year.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Minister ku kibazo cyiza cyangwa se concern mubashe kubaza. Nibyo koko nk'urugaga rw'amadini mu kubungabunga ubuzima, ikibazo cy'imiryango ikennye ikibyara abana benshi badashoboye kurera ni ikibazo gihangayikishije buri wese, kandi ni ikibazo gihangayikishije n'urugaga rw'amadini muri rusange. Ngira ngo niba mwibuka abanyamadini cyangwa urugaga rw'amadini ni bamwe bitabiriye inama iheruka kuba, inama mpuzamahanga kuri family planning iherutse kuba, kandi ngira ngo mwari muhari mwumvishe commitment abanyamadini bafashe kugira ngo bahangane n'iki kibazo. Ikibazo koko gikomeje kuganirwaho umunsi ku munsi, ni ikibazo urugaga rukomeje kuganiraho. Ni naho ku tariki 21 z'uku kwezi mu nteko ishinga amategeko abanyamadini cyangwa urugaga hari ikiganiro bazatanga ku kibazo cy'urubyaro cyangwa se ikibazo cya family planning mu muryango. Icyo gihe rero ngira ngo commitment z'abanyamadini cyangwa se urugaga zirakomeza kwiyongera, kandi koko bahangayikishijwe n'umubare w'abana uri kwiyongera mu ECD, aho dusanga tugenda duhura n'abana bagwingiye ku buryo butandukanye. Ni ikibazo rero koko bari bwiteho, kandi n'ikibazo bari bushakira umuti. Murakoze cyane.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the first panel. We have a telephone. If someone has lost their phone, please find my colleague here at the back. And the car keys. No. Good afternoon, once again. Thank you for the panel that was just discussing. We're going to a second session. We will be speaking of the impact of early childhood development programs in human capital development. The first presenter will be coming from Imbuto Foundation. This will be Clément Kabirigi, the Education Unit Coordinator at Imbuto Foundation. He's presenting a paper on the contribution to early childhood development to primary school performance in 11 districts. Thank you. Each presenter will do 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. My name is Kabirigi Clément, as she mentioned, and I work for Imbuto Foundation. So I'm going to present a formative assessment on the integrated ECD program, which was conducted in 11 districts in Rwanda, and was assessing the contribution of the ECD program on the primary school performance. As a brief outline, we shall have a brief background about the program, look at the methodology, the key results, and the implications the findings will have on the program as a whole. Looking at the background, over the last few years, ECD has emerged as one of the country's top priorities in an effort to make sure that the country achieves a vision of a knowledge-based economy through developing the human capital, and the aim is to improve the access to ECD in family services from 13% to 45%, and reduce the stunting rates from 38% to 19% by 2024. And as a means to address this issue, this ECD and family program is providing an integrated package of interventions that we shall see in the next slide. And it is also worth to notice that investments in ECD and family are an effective means to ensure that all the children at the right age are ready for school and achieve the developmental milestones and are developmentally on track. I will also mention why we invest in children as Imbuto Foundation. This is a call from our high-level leadership. We believe that a seed well planted, watered, nurtured, and given all the necessary support successfully grows into a healthy plant, one that reaches high and stands tall. This is a quote from our founder and chairperson. And not only this is a belief, but it's a reality that everybody knows. And we believe the same about our children. When they're given a conducive environment that enables them to grow and thrive in life, they unavoidably grow into contributors of the society's development. Briefly about the program intervention, from 2013, Imbuto Foundation has partnered with UNICEF to implement this early childhood development and family program. And the program targets children from conception to the 6 years of age, and of course, their parents as primary caregivers. The 5 components of this integrated program are early learning, health, nutrition, hygiene, and child protection. So we package them as a holistic approach to make sure that the children achieve all the developmental milestones in their early age. And as of today, the program has reached more than 20,000 children and more than 18,000 families in 15 districts across the country. And looking at the formative assessment that we carried out, looking at the methodology, this study was cross-sectional and it followed a quasi-experimental design and used both qualitative and quantitative methods. And we collected information from primary caregivers and their children, and we sampled among children who participated and benefited from our ECD and F program, and we matched them with the comparison group of children who did not go through the ECD program and the total sample size was 803, and we had the response rate of 99.63%. So each selected parent or primary caregiver had a child who has completed the first year of primary school, and the descriptive statistics and bivariate analysis were carried out to generate findings using the 14th version of the STATA software. Now looking at the key findings, so starting with some of the demographic information. So the mean age of the responding caregivers stood at 35.4 years in the treatment group and 35.9 years in the control site. So, and of course, there is one striking finding that the majority of those respondent caregivers were females. These are the mothers. Overall, it was only 18.8% of them were male against 81.2% of females. So in the treatment group specifically, it was about the percentage of females stood at 81.4% against 18.6% of males. And that is the chart that I'm highlighting with the pointer. And among them, we have the next chart indicates the percentage of caregivers who are able to read and write. Those in orange are the ones able to read and write, and the ones in blue are the ones who are not able to read or write. So in the treatment group, that is where our ECD NF intervention is working, the percentage of parents who are able to read and write stood at 81.6%, while it was at 77% for the control group. And this has an implication in terms of early learning, because you know that the primary caregivers are the ones who are more likely to read books with their children, and when the children join primary school later, these are the ones who are able to support the children doing their homeworks and following up their studies actively. So, and here we have proportions of who in the households decides whether a child attends primary school. These activities are singing a song with the child, telling them stories, teaching them and teaching them something new. So in the treatment group, 69.2% against 30.8% in the control group of the parents were involved in learning activities with their children. And the next slide shows the ECD and F children performance in primary school. Remember, these are the children who completed their first of primary school, and it was found out that the children who participated in the ECD before the primary scored an average of 75.8% against 68.2%. And the p-value stands at 0.001, which is significant at 5% degree of interval. And this indicates a positive spillover effects of the ECD and F program on primary school performance, which literally indicates that children who went through this program are likely to perform better than the ones who did not go through the program when they are in their, at least at the completion of the first year of primary school. Here we look at some of the key implications of the program. So through this integrated package of the 5 interventions, the program has proved to be effective in different areas of child development. And the program also successfully increased the access to the services with a focus on reaching to the poorest communities, the ones who are not well off. And the involvement, the perspectives of the caregivers and other stakeholders in the program highlight that the program was valued by the community members and viewed as having an overall positive impact on the children's performance in primary school, and as well as the family and broader community engagement. These are